The four long-term causes of World War I were nationalism, imperialism, militarism, and the alliance system. Nationalism was the belief that the national interest should be placed ahead of global cooperation and that a nation's foreign affairs should be guided by its own self-interest. Imperialism was where countries took over other countries and controlled their government and society. Militarism was the development of armed forces and their use as a tool of diplomacy. And last was the alliance system. Countries made alliances with each other, so if one country attacked them, they would have other countries to support them. The event that directly sparked World War I was the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, who was heir to the Austrian throne. He was murdered June 28, 1914 by Gavrilo Princip. The assassination caused Austria-Hungary to declare war against Serbia. However, the alliance system pulled one nation in after the other. Germany entered the war on the side of Austria-Hungary. They began their war by invading Belgium and then invading France. Britain and France teamed up to help stop the German forces. The soldiers fought the war in a place called No Man's Land, which was a barren expanse of mud pockmarked with shell craters and filled with barbed wire entanglements. The soldiers would climb out of their trenches and try to overrun the enemy lines, but the machine guns and other types of weapons would kill them, and this would be called the No Man's Land. Soldiers also fought in trench warfare. This was where armies fought and died for only gaining a couple yards, and that continued for more than 3 years in World War I. Later in the war, countries adopted mechanized warfare. Mechanized warfare was warfare that relied on machines powered by gasoline and diesel engines. The two main weapons were the tank and the airplane. Although America claimed its neutrality for the beginning of the war, they eventually entered the war on April 2, 1917. The two main things that caused them to enter the war were the German U-boats and the Zimmermann Note. German U-boats were boats designed to sink British ships and goods so that all their supplies would be cut off. However, the German U-boats also sunk many American ships and took many American lives. The final thing that caused them to enter the war was the Zimmermann Note. This was a telegram sent by the German minister to the German ambassador in Mexico. However, it was intercepted by the British. The telegram wanted an alliance between Mexico and Germany and promised to support Mexico in a war with America. America achieved much success when they entered the war. Their success was due to their construction of ships to expand their fleets and help the Navy, the convoy system, and the fresh troops from the Selective Service Act. The convoy system was devised as a way to defeat the German U-boats. In this system, merchant vessels would travel in large groups with a guard of circling destroyers and cruisers. Although the Americans achieved success, the life as a soldier was very difficult. They suffered from lack of sleep, unsanitary conditions, which caused trench foot, lice and rats, and polluted water. Life in America changed once America entered the war because industries were converted into helping the war effort. The War Industries Board promoted industrial production and mass production techniques to increase efficiency, and it urged them to eliminate waste. The government used advertisement to help with their spending of the war. Through war bonds, they could help earn money to support the war, but they also supported the war with taxes. On November 3, 1918, World War I ended. This was due to the fact that Germany ordered for a ceasefire. The war wasn't ended by a decisive battle, but rather Germany decided to surrender because their economy had suffered and they had no longer had materials to support the war. Wilson met the other nations' leaders at Versailles in December 1918. Wilson's plan included the 14 points and the creation of a League of Nations. The 14 points would lay out what caused the war, and it would also lay out specific boundary changes. The League of Nations would provide for a forum for nations to discuss and settle their disputes without a war. But how the Allies rejected their plan. On June 28, 1919, the Big Four and the leaders of the defeated nations gathered at the Palace of Versailles to sign the Treaty of Versailles. This led to the creation of new nations, and it also stripped Germany of its power. The War Guilt Clause forced Germany to acknowledge that it was responsible for World War I. The Treaty of Versailles had many problems, however. Germany was left in severe depression because many of their territories were taken away and they were left in a severe debt due to the war. The nation searched for a new leader and put their faith in Hitler. This led to the rise of militaristic leaders, which eventually led to the spark of World War II.